Just gonna close my eyes and pretend that I'm not here. All these empty faces talking about problems, I don't care. I can't wait till sundown.
Alright guys, I have started a new canvas. This is a Harry Potter owl, and that's what I got done so far. Let me put you on the tripod and we'll just chat a little bit while I work on this portion. This is my next portion that I am working on here. And I'll answer a few questions that I got in comments of my last video. So let's get started. Alright, I'm going to start by going through some of the tools that you will need to start a project. Of course, you'll need the canvas, any kind of canvas that you would like to choose. I shop at AliExpress or Amazon, whichever you prefer. I don't like the canvases on Amazon all that much because I've had a lot of issues with them. But so far, AliExpress has been okay. There's a couple stores that are, kind of iffy, but then sometimes you get one from the same store and it's just fine. So I guess it depends on who's wrapping it and who's getting it ready and prepared and stuff. So you'll need a tray. I like the trays that have the little hole here at the end so you can dump them back into their container, and I just tap to get all the beads to go back in there. You'll need a drill pen. This is my drill pen. This was empty and my son filled it with extra beads that we had, so that's why they're in there. And then strong tweezers. I use my eyebrow tweezers because they're really strong. The other ones are kind of crappy. You will need some wax, and this is for filling up your drill pen. As you can see, there's a hole in there and you need to fill that hole up. So you just simply take your wax, and you can see there's lots of holes in my wax, and you just dip your pen in it and twist, and then your pen is filled up with wax. I think you can kind of see that, but it is filled up with wax. And then I just leave this kind of nearby. I keep the plastic over it so it doesn't dry out. There's plastic on either side, so I just kind of leave that sit by in case I need it. And then the last thing I use is one of these X-Acto knives, because when you get a canvas, sometimes they'll have like little rivers of bubbles in them, and you just simply take this and run along the rivers, or do like this kind of a motion. And once you do that, I take my pen and just kind of scratch it down. It's not going to hurt the adhesive at all. Just kind of scratch it down and write over it, and it'll flatten it right down. So that's the tools that I use. And of course, you need some tape possibly for the outside if you get adhesive along the outer edge, just so you don't get all kinds of crap sticking to it. Right, the last thing you will need is some sort of container to put all of your drills into. I got this off of Amazon. I will link it below. And what it is just little containers that you can put on with, you write on it with a permanent marker, and that comes off with a fingernail polish remover. You just wipe it off. But they open up right here. You just kind of push it open. And at first they're really hard to get open, but once you open them the first time, because they fold right there. Oh, Luna. Hi, Luna. She wants to come up and sit by me, and I'm like sitting up right now. So then you just put your beads in there and click it closed, and then just put it right back in here. They all lay down. There's medium ones. Well, there's extra small, extra tiny. These are called the tinies, or extra tiny, or something like that. And these are small. These are medium. And then you have the large, because this canvas holds a lot of black. So this is a 3-ton, the black. So I have all of my 3 tons in there. You can see there's quite a bit of room left yet though, but that really needed that one. And that allows you to put all of your drills in here, no matter how many drills you have. I ordered extra tiny containers because you can order these little containers separately. I think they come in a pack of 10 or something like that. So I ordered 2 extra of those because they only came with like 1 row of tinies, and I needed more of those. So yeah, it worked out really well. These are all of the colors. As you can see, I can fit a lot more colors if I needed to. but it works out perfect for me. It has a cover that goes right on it. It has a cover that goes on, and you can just click it closed on both sides. Guys, hopefully you can see this. I always start out with my 310s first because there's a lot of them and they're easy to spot because they are the black hearts right here. So I usually start out with those first. And like I said, I always keep this open so I know which color I'm working on, although this really isn't too hard to figure out. But I do have some blues, dark blues, that look a lot like the 310s. And sometimes my eyes deceive me and I put the wrong one in the wrong container. So we're going to leave this right here. And I'm going to just, when you first fill your drill pen, sometimes a little wax comes out when you collect your first bead. So I like to take my fingernail and just kind of scrape it off inside there a little bit. It makes it less messy that way. And when you're putting this on the canvas, you don't have to press hard at all. And just kind of put it on there lightly. And then you can go through after you're done with this whole section, or whatever section you're working on, and just roll it with a rolling pin. And that will adhere it really firmly. And I noticed in my last video, guys, that I had the sniffles and I couldn't help it. It's just like a habit, and I have allergies right now. And usually I never got allergies, but for some reason, as you get older, allergies can show up just out of the blue. So that was a little annoying listening to my video back and then having to hear that. And I, you know, when I was editing, I didn't even notice it. Otherwise I would have tried to cut it out, but yeah, I didn't even notice it at all. I think it's just a habit to do that. And I was also editing on my computer, so the sound is a little different than hearing it on TV itself. So I was listening to it after I filmed it and got it uploaded and live. I was re-listening to it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was sniffling an awful lot. So I'm going to try not to do that in this video. If I have to, I'll stop and blow my nose or something before I go on. So anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm doing really well. The last couple days, as you guys know, I'm on Weight Watchers, and if you're new to my channel through Diamond Art, I am on Weight Watchers. And so far I have lost about 125 pounds. I was further, but I gained back like 10 pounds because I wasn't doing that well. The last few months have really taken over, and I hate summer so bad. So summer really screws me up. So that's why I ended up gaining some of that weight back. But now I'm back on track, doing better, although tomorrow is weigh-in. And I have a feeling I'm going to be up on the scale again. This last weekend, I went to Missouri to bring my grandkids back to their parents, and they were meeting me there. They live in Texas, and they were meeting me in Missouri by her parents who live in Missouri. So I was driving over there to meet them to drop off the kids, and I did not pack anything. We ended up staying an extra day, so we stayed Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We went down Saturday morning, me and my son. We stayed in a hotel, which I didn't get much sleep because the kids didn't get there till 3 in the morning to pick up the babies, and the babies were sleeping, so they kind of crawled in the other bed, waited till morning, and I kept waking up. Like, I went to bed at 11, but I kept waking up off and on throughout the night waiting for them to show up because they went to her parents first so her mom could see the baby, because they had the baby with them. They have 3 kids and I only took 2. So she went over to see the baby. She went over so that her mom could see the baby. And they stayed to visit a while. And I knew they were going to do this, but I didn't, you know, they didn't know what time they were going to show up at the hotel. So I kept waking up throughout the night. And when we left at about 9 in the morning, I got up, made breakfast, because we stayed in a Candlewood Suites. I used to work at a Candlewood Suites, and they all have full kitchens in them, which is really nice. So I always stay at a Candlewood Suites when I travel because it's easy to cook and easy to stay on your plan. So that's what we did. But we did end up going to Taco Bell, like for lunch almost every day that we were gone, which didn't help. I didn't have soda or anything, but I did have tacos, and I did not have the potato olays either. It was good. I enjoyed our trip. It was fun, but we were happy to get back home. You know how you're really happy to go places, but then it's even better to come back home? I love coming back home. I hate being away from home for very long. I just love being home. I would stay home all the time. I really would. I just love being home. And it's fun to travel. Like, we're going to go to Disney in November. Take our son to Disney finally. He's went a couple times before, but he was a baby or really little, so he doesn't remember it. So we're going to take him again. And it's just a lot of fun. Oop, I want to save that one till later. Now I'll give you an example of how to use these tweezers. So you see I placed this in the wrong area. So I just take it and I kind of twist it and it comes right off. So that's what you use the tweezers for. And I didn't want to do that row yet. So I want to fold that a little bit better. There we go. I like to stay even because of my OCD, I guess. I can't, like, I have to stay even with the lines. I know it's silly. And I will pull them off if I go over. So where was I? Oh, so then we ended up heading out at about 9, and I ended up getting super tired. And I told my husband, I said, I can't drive anymore. I just am really tired. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were only halfway home, not even halfway home at that time. And I just was super tired. So he said, well, go ahead and stay overnight again and get some rest. So that's what we did. And we didn't stay in a Candlewood this time, but we stayed in just a regular hotel along the way. I don't even remember. I think it was like a Quality Inn or something like that. So we stayed in one of those, which was okay. It wasn't the best hotel at all, but it was okay. It had a fridge in it. So we ended up eating at Subway that night because we didn't have a stove or anything. So we ate Subway, and I had what did I have? Did I have Subway that night? Goodness, I don't remember what I had. Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a chicken breast with marinara sauce on it. That's what I had. That was one of my favorite subs. Well, my favorite all-time sub is a cold cut combo, but I don't have that anymore because I can't eat it without regular fat mayo, and that is so super high in points. So I was kind of, I mean, I wasn't doing terrible. I could have just went all off the rails and had my cold cut combo with extra mayo like I used to have, but I didn't. I had a chicken, but I still ended up gaining like 10 pounds when I got home. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't like it, but that's what happens when I travel. Like every time, if I go on a plane, if I go in a car, whatever, I always end up gaining like 10 pounds. And even if I do well, I still gain. Okay, I think we're done with the hearts. I don't see any more hearts. And you know, I always miss some. I think I got them all, but then I find some later as I'm getting closer to the end. It's so frustrating because then it's like, okay, now I gotta dump these all back in here. I'm gonna kind of tilt you up a little so you guys can see what's going on here. Okay, so I'm just going to dump this right back in here. And close it up. And just stick it back in my container here. And then the next one, I will work on, I usually try to work on something that has a lot to it, like these X's here. I'll get the X's. And then to find those, what color there are, I look on the key, or on the inventory sheet here. They also have a key on the actual canvas, but it's way over on that side. So I just use this one, and the plus is number 1 there, and it's number 154, it says right there. So I'm going to look up 154 in my container, which is the very first one. I put them in order of how it reads it here in my container, so it's a lot easier to find them. So this is like a purplish color. I just simply dump them in there. And I set this down inside there so I don't spill it, because I'm very clumsy. And I can't tell you how many times I've tipped over beads, and it was so frustrating trying to collect them all. I'm hoping that you guys can see what I'm doing here. I think you can. So anyway, we started back out at, I think it was 9 o'clock when we left that next hotel. We went swimming. Well, my son went swimming the day before. We ran over to Walmart and got him a pair of swimming trunks. Candlewood Suites don't have a swimming pool. None of them. Well, I guess I shouldn't say none of them do it. Some of them possibly may have one, but most of them do not have a swimming pool. The one I worked at ended up building a swimming pool onto their hotel, but I think they had plans to change the name anyhow, because they did eventually change the name to a Best Western Plus, and I think they knew that that was coming, but they didn't want to tell any of us until they knew for sure. But yeah, they ended up changing their name, and it was a nice place to work, though. I really enjoyed it. And then I finally just got tired of, I used to be an auditor, so I used to work third shift, but I did work some desk hours in the morning. I started out 3 to 11, and then I moved to audit hours, and I just got really tired of changing my hours around, because then at that point, we had so many people that would call in to work, so they would just kind of stick me wherever. And so I was working some mornings, and then I'd have to turn around and go back to work that night. And then, you know, like I'd work an audit shift, and then I would be scheduled for 3 p.m. that next day. Well, I'd work until 7 a.m. that day, so I have to come home, try and sleep, which was very difficult to just jump right into bed and sleep right when you got home from work, right? So I had to try and sleep and then go back to work by 3 p.m. And it got to the point where I was getting really exhausted and really worn out, I guess. And my son was kind of suffering from it, and he was a lot younger at that time. So I decided that my husband had asked me if I would just want to stay home and do homeschooling with Nick and take care of the house and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I would really love that. So that's what I did, and I haven't been back to work since. And I worked about 20 years in a hotel. It's something that I've always loved doing. I loved talking to people. I loved hearing about their stories when they would check in, and then they'd come down later and we'd chat a while, and it was just really a lot of fun working at the hotel. I could tell you some interesting stories about working at the hotel all those years, though. It was a pretty big adventure, to say the least. There was one time I worked at a place called the Roadway Inn. It was right next door to the Candlewood Suites. So I was working there, and these guys came in. They were doing some kind of road work or something. So they were working on the roads. Well, they ended up getting drunk that night. A young girl, or a lady comes down to the desk and says, this was about midnight or so. She comes down and she says, I just went out to grab a soda out of your machine, and there's a guy running around the hallways naked. I'm like, are you serious? So I grab my phone and I head out down the hallway to check out where this guy is. I asked her where he was, and I went to check it out. Well, as we were heading down the hallway, here he comes running down, well, not even running. He was kind of like walking, but he was swinging his hips. So it was, you know, his thing was going around in circles. Yeah. That's what he was doing. And I'm like, sir, you have to go back to your room. And he's like, I don't remember where my room is. He could not remember where his room was, but he just kept this dance up. And I'm like, can you please stop? And so finally, okay, do you have a name of the person that I can call? Because I know he was with his buddy, and his buddy had a separate room. So he told me his first name, but he couldn't remember his last name. So I checked through all the check-in slips, finally found the guy, gave him a call, and said, your buddy's down here, and he is naked running around the hallways, and he can't remember which room he's in. And he's like, he's in my room. So they shared a room. So I brought him up there and he opened the door for him. And about an hour later, here the guy comes down to the desk again, naked again. And this time I called the sheriff's department and told him, because he was just he would not go back to his room. He wouldn't listen to me. He wouldn't listen to his friend. And I told his friend, I said, I have to call the sheriff's. I can't have him out here when people start getting up in the morning. He's like, yeah, I totally get it. So I called the cops and they took him away naked in their car. Yeah. So they gave him some kind of a blanket. I had an extra blanket there at the hotel, so they wrapped him up in a blanket, but they took him naked and all to the police station and let him sit it off in one of their cells in there. And he came back the next day apologizing, and of course his boss was none too happy about it because he found out later. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. But that was one of the interesting things that I had to deal with. Another thing was I checked a young couple into the hotel late. It was 10 o'clock and they asked how late the pool was open. So I told them that it's open until 11. So they said, oh, good, because we're going to go swimming. And I'm like, okay, I didn't think nothing of it. So then we have a camera in our desk area that shows the pool. Well, 10 o'clock is not that late at night, so there's bound to be other people wandering around the halls and whatnot. And we have a lot of children that stay there with their parents that kind of wander around, and of course I make them go back to their room because kids aren't supposed to be running around without their parents after 9 p.m. in the hallway. So I always make them go back, but still they come down to the desk and get stuff or whatever. And so I'm kind of watching them in the pool, and I notice that they are having sex in the pool. And I'm like, oh Lord, now I got to deal with this. So I went down to the pool and said, you guys have to get out if you're going to be doing that. And you can go up to your room. So they're all mad at me about chasing them out. And I'm like, really? Really? So there is children that stay here. It's happened a few times already. And it's so annoying. And then of course we had a no glass in the pool policy for good reason. If you use your common sense, you should not be taking glass into a pool area where people are barefoot, right? And it's all tile on the floor, and if you drop your glass, it's going to break. So we have that policy. Well, there is construction guys that try to go in there with their glass bottles of beer all the time, and it's like, come on now, you guys, really? So I was constantly yelling at people at the Roadway Inn. Once I moved to Candlewood, it wasn't near as bad because people were more respectful, I guess. But Roadway Inn was a cheap little nasty hotel. I think it was like, at the time I worked there, it was like $35 a night. It was really cheap. 45, somewhere around that area. But it was a cheap hotel. And we could give deals if we wanted to. Like if we had rooms empty, our manager allowed us to sell a room for $25 sometimes. If it, it wasn't going to get filled anyway. And if they're going to turn around and walk out the door, well, we're losing money, because if we leave it sit empty, it's better to have something than nothing, right? So we would sell a lot of rooms for $25, in which case we got a lot of creepers in there who took advantage of that price. And it was not fun sometimes. But I lived through it, and now I get to stay home and not have to put up with that anymore. But I really do miss Candlewood, because there was a lot of nice people that came in there regularly, and I really miss them. Okay, I'm done with that color. We're going to put this back in here. And I'm sure I'll find some as I go on. Okay, now I'm going to do these little L-looking things right here, which is number 10 here. So we're going to look up 779. And that's a brown color. A lot of browns in this painting. A lot of browns. I'm trying to think of another interesting story I could tell you. I gotta leave this sitting up. Okay. I could tell you a story about my brother once. My brothers are both deceased now. One died of a massive heart attack in the woods. They always worked in the woods with my dad. My dad was a logger, and he cut down trees, and he would skid the trees right there and then load them onto a semi. So that's what he did. That was his job, like his entire life. He also had a couple other jobs on the side, like delivering milk and all that kind of stuff, odd and end jobs. My other brother, he had just quit drinking. All of my male family members had a drinking problem. They were all alcoholics. Well, the three of them. I had it, my dad and then my two brothers. So my younger brother, well, my youngest brother, I'm the youngest out of 7 children. He was the younger of the brothers, I should say. He quit drinking and he started exercising and trying to get in shape and that sort of thing. He had just quit smoking. He was doing really well, right? He was on his way. He was addicted to chocolate milk, and he was a truck driver. So he got home really late. Well, I should say early in the morning. It was about 3 a.m. in the morning. And he decided he wanted some chocolate milk. So he took his pedal bike because he was just starting to exercise, and so he had purchased a pedal bike. So he took his pedal bike and he started towards Quick Trip. And this is in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. He started towards Quick Trip, and he ended up getting hit. Something ended up, we still to this day don't know what happened. Somebody had found him laying on the curb, and his pedal bike was kind of right there. So it looks like what happened was somebody maybe ran him off the road, and he hit the curb, and he fell off his bike, and his head hit the side of the sidewalk on the curb. He was brain dead instantly. They rushed him to the hospital, and he was living, but there was no signs of any life in his brain. You know, his brain was just, he was brain dead. So I was called really early in the morning, and I knew, actually I think it was about 4 in the morning that they had found him, or something. It was really super early, because I know when my sister called me, it was still dark out and it was super early. And when I get phone calls that early in the morning, I know it's bad. So I did not want to answer my phone. I keep missing that one. So I answered my phone, and she told me what happened. So I took off. I got ready and I took off down there to see him, because she said he's not alive. He's brain dead. We're gonna have to unplug him. We're gonna have to unplug the machines, but I want you here with me. So we went down there, me and my other family members, and my mom was still alive at that time. So we were all there when he was unplugged, and we still never to this day found out what happened. So yeah, it was a really bad day in our life, for sure. I can't tell if that was the right one. Nope, it wasn't. Okay. And my other brother died in the woods. He had a massive heart attack in the woods, and my dad found him, and he was already dead at that time. So yeah, that's why I have to be really careful with my heart and my high blood pressure, because my mom had a stroke, and one of my brothers died of a massive heart attack. So yeah, it's kind of scary. My mom was never the same after my brother died. Oh, that was a bad funeral to go to. She was like literally bawling on the casket, almost tipped it over. It was so horrible. It was worse to watch her than it was to go through it. Than it was to go through my brother dying. It was so bad. I couldn't imagine losing a child, though. Could not imagine it. And then let's see, I think I was starting another story when I came up to that one. A lot of these colors in there. My goodness. I'm all over the place here too, so I'll probably end up missing some. When this, sometimes you get it where it doesn't stick too much anymore, like you have trouble picking up your beads and you have to pound on them a couple times. At that point is when I reload my wax, but it lasts for quite a while, the wax does. Some people don't even go through one of these in a big painting. I don't know how they do it, because I end up refilling my wax quite often because it drives me crazy to not have them stick like I want them to. So I do use up most of the wax in a project, although this was my second project with this wax. I went through the whole welcome sign with that one, and now I'm going through this partial one here. So this morning I got up early. I woke up at 6, so I got up, made my husband an early breakfast because he likes me to get up at 6. I used to get up at 6:30. Now he wants me to start getting up at 6. It's been difficult to get up at 6 because, you know me, I'm always staying up so late. So this morning I actually got up early because I went to bed at 10 o'clock last night. I didn't get my video out there till later, but it was nice to get to bed early. I need to do that. I need to start doing that more often. But we were watching, oh, I can't remember the name of the show now, but it's a really good show. I will ask my husband what the name of it is, and I will put it down below right there so you guys can check it out because it's really good. We've been watching it, I think, on Netflix or Hulu, and I'll put that down below too. It's a really good show. And I've been trying to do my diamond painting in between watching it. And my husband gets so frustrated with me because he wants me to pay attention to the show, like full attention, not do anything else. And I love being able to, while I'm watching shows, to do some diamond painting too, because you kill two birds with one stone. Although I do get lost in the show sometimes and I don't know what's going on. And he'll ask me, did you see that? And I'll be like, yeah. And he'll say, well, what just happened? And I'm like, I don't know. So I try to fib to him, but it never works because he knows me by now. Let me know, guys, if this is an okay angle for you guys. If you guys can see this okay, or if you'd like a different kind of angle, if you'd like it closer. I forgot what number I was on. See, this is why 3864. The moon. I'm the half moon shape. That's the one I'm trying to do. I gotta shake these a little bit. I used all the ones that were up already. Okay guys, that video got a little too long, so I had to cut some things out, but I just wanted to close up the video here. After you saw me working on this section here, that was last week, so throughout the week, this is what I got done so far. And next I'll be working on these two areas right here to work it up to this area. So the next drill with me, I'll probably do these two sections or one section of that because it takes a long time to do one little section of this, a couple hours. So one drill with me will probably be one of these. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and this is really looking really nice. I love it. So please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to share this if you think anybody may like it.
I'm just gonna close my eyes and pretend that I'm not here. All these empty faces talking about problems, I don't care. I can't wait till sundown 'cause my body's aching.